when you watch Justin and what he's done, you know, what are your emotions about that? So
couldn't be happier.
Couldn't be happier. But is there a part of you that sees what they're doing and kind of wishes that you were along for the ride?
In a small way, I am. You know,
Okay.
In a small way, I am. I'm along for the ride. I just don't have any of the risk.
Yeah,
You know,
I got you.
Yeah. I'm along
That's
for
a
the
fair
ride.
point. You are part of that
I
story.
couldn't be happier for him.
That's right.
He reminds me of me when I met Felix. You
It's
know,
a very similar story.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, he reminds me of
Yeah,
me
he's
when
a
I
driver.
met
He tried to sort of create that sort of same career path for him and had to make a transition.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so when you and Dale go into partnership together here for a Cup team, who's your driver? who are we going to go after? Who's going to wheel our car?
Boy, you know, like you look. Like I was just looking at that the other day. You know, like a couple. You know, you look down the list of drivers, and you know, like you look at Reddick the other day. You know, he won his first Busch race with us. You know, whatever it is, Xfinity race. He won it with us.
He did.
You know.
Yeah.
And Bowman, he had his first win with us. You know, like a lot of guys had their first wins with us. You know, now those guys are, you know, Kyle, of course. You know, Larson, of course. Sure, would I have loved to carry those guys along throughout their entire career? Absolutely. But, you know, I don't have the wherewithal that, you know, Rick or Roger, those guys have, you know.
So let's talk about the bandwidth of you and of Chip Ganassi Racing. So, you know, you did have the NASCAR operation, but your IndyCar operation, your IMSA sports car stuff, how do you keep all that running so smoothly? How do you keep all of that happening at such a splendid, success rate? And
you know what it is. You know what it is.
Staying up there is tough. Getting there is tough, but damn, once you get there, the ebb and flow. The thing I have problems with is our ebb and flow, like the ups and downs. We had an amazing year last year. This year we can't get going on.
Right.
You know, and that's happened. Our cars they'll lose a step. We'll have a year where we're a fifth place team. Then we'll go back and run top 3 the next year. And so, but you have always had.
No, we've had up and down years.
Yeah.
We've had up and down years. It's passion and it's people. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody out there had the same passion that you and I did, they'd be fine, right?
How do you keep good people?
Fine. You know,
because it gets competitive, and
it gets competitive.
The sport cannibalizes each other. These race teams go poach, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. You know, and we've all had it happen. I mean, I put everybody under contracts. I don't know any other way to do it. I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's all. You know.
That's right. It just triggered a memory. Like I remember there was a crew chief. I don't honestly remember who it was, but there was a crew chief that I think you had that you and Rick were talking about trying to do some swap, and you're trying to do this. And I don't even remember if it was for you or if it was somebody else. It was maybe a Junior Motorsport. I can't remember what it was, but it's like, 1 year a crew chief all of a sudden, hits 5 wins because this driver is just out of this world. I mean, like Kyle Larson, for instance.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson was a Ganassi guy.
Yeah.
For all these years.
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, when all of a sudden, you've got the hot girl at the prom and everybody's sitting there looking.
Yeah, and then everybody starts shooting at you, you know what I mean? Whether they're, they either start picking your team apart or spitting in the driver's ear. You know, everybody has that happen. I've had that happen plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
What kind of, we had him in here
a
couple of weeks ago. And it's like what? It's like Mario Andretti walking into the room when he was, at the top of his game.
Right.
Guy's incredible.
Yeah.
How lucky do you feel to be able to work with drivers like that?
The luckiest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
how do you?
That guy is if you went to Hollywood, you couldn't write the script. People wouldn't believe you if you wrote that script, about how he got started, and he had that consortium of people helping him and helping him go, and
How do you keep a guy like that around?
I think the drivers that I've had good relationships with will tell you. I'm not one of these team owners that calls your drivers up all the time, every day. How you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I don't do that. I mean, I let them, I used to say I let them Monday through Friday. They could do whatever they want to do. Just give me your time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever. Like when you're at the racetrack, just give me your time and your 100% effort. Like I want them to be themselves off the track. I want them to have a little bit of. I don't want them to be like a robot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want them to have some personality, and I want them to have a personality or have a, they don't always have to be like a Madison Avenue machine.
What do you do with your drivers outside of?
You know what I do?
Be at the racetrack.
What do I do with them?
Yeah.
I give them good to drive.
I know, but like.
Okay, that's what I do. Yeah. That's my thing. Okay, I'm going to give you a good car to drive. Yeah. That's what I work hard at, and because I wanted to always have a team that I wanted my team to be like a team that I would wanted to drive for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I wanted it to be what every driver would want it to have.
Do you allow yourself to be close to them?
That's what I guess I'm trying to get to.
Yes and no. I yes and no. Like I remember with Jamie McMurray. We would talk about fitness, and I said to him, and one of the deals I did with him, I bought him a whole gym for his house,
Dang.
And he's like, man, I can't believe you did that, and like here he is years later, he's like Mr. Bicycling, Mr. Triathlete,
incredible shape.
Running,
yeah.
He's in incredible shape now, and like I remember when I bought him his first, weights in his house, and to get him into fitness and things. You know what I mean? So yeah, we laugh about that every once in a while.
But listen, the glaring example on why not to get too close would be what you had to deal with Alex just a year ago, right?
Yeah,
the Alex Palou. You guys
sure.
You were being poached, were you not?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens when you're being poached like that? Like
you know what I do? I tell the guys on the team. I go, you know what? I don't want anybody on the team to flinch one bit about the car preparation. You just make sure we put a car out there that can win the race, and I don't want anybody to have any hiccups or question the driver's talent. And if, if drivers if drivers don't appreciate that, hey, fine, that's okay. Go somewhere else if it's that great.
Listen, I would have lost the bet.
I'm okay, but as long as we have a deal, you're going to live by the deal.
Right.
Right.
I didn't know why it got so complicated in the fact that there was a deal. There was a deal in place. I don't know how another entity can go make an announcement when there was a deal in place.
Right. You could probably, you could go after him for interference with a contract. Sure. Yeah.
How did you? I would have lost the bet that would have ended as well as it did, and yet it did. How did that happen? You guys are still racing together, and everything's good.
When you have a contract like that, it's real simple. Either someone's going to, either the driver's going to drive the car, or somebody's going to pay you a lot of money. One of the two.
My question,
okay.
My question is like to Mike's point. Like I'm surprised that worked out. How did you not allow the relationship between you and the driver become problematic? Because
I just didn't. I told him how I felt, and I didn't let it. And I mean, it's as hard as it is to do. Like I don't negotiate in the newspaper, if you will. I don't say things. I don't. That's a Monday through Friday thing, not a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just kept it real with him when y'all were in the room together.
We're in the room. Hey, man, I just want to win the race, and I want to win the race. And there was a little bit of tension with him and the other drivers because they didn't want to. They were a little nervous about giving him information, or Honda was a little nervous about giving information out or whatever. So
right.
But it all worked out in the end. And he won the last race at Laguna Seca, going away, won the last race off and gone, and. You just don't do that if you're not committed. I mean, the guy's a great race car driver. I don't take anything away from him.
You have had some. When I think about all of the drivers that have driven for you, in
really
both
lucky.
In all the series, you have had just as wide a range of personalities as they get. I mean, we've met Alex, we've now met Scott, but then we're going back. We had Sterling on the show this year.
Yeah.
And I was,
we were leading the points when Sterling got hurt. Everybody forgets that.
No, I don't forget
it.
We
were leading the points.
I will tell you,
I was working for Jimmy Spencer that year, so you had Jimmy Spencer and Sterling in the same barn, man.
Right,
that was crazy.
I love Sterling Marlin.
Yeah,
I love Sterling Marlin.
Yeah.
But I never in my life would have thought Sterling Marlin would ever in his life be a contender or a threat to
leading
win a
the points
championship.
with like
And
4 or 5 races to go.
He was in position. That was his to lose.
Right.
Before he
Right.
got hurt, driving your car in the twilight of his career. I mean,
and
literally.
when he was hurt, it wasn't like he was even hurt. You know, he didn't. He had a broken neck, but he looked normal, talked normal, walked normal.
Yeah.
He didn't look sick at all. He was fine. He just had a crack in his neck that they wouldn't let him drive.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't blame him for not driving. I'm just saying.
Of course not. Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't like he was.
Well, the thing, I mean, listen, we could talk about Sterling. My question I wanted to know is that do you find yourself having to, almost like tailor make your relationships with each of these drivers because they're so different, like Juan Pablo and then, McMurray, who's just easy to get
Zanardi,
along with. But then you got all the, right. Or do you stick by, this is how I'm treating everybody? They're all going to be this. This is how we're going to do it. I'm going to have a very disciplined owner-driver relationship.
No.
Okay.
Look, well, here's what I tell him. I go, look, I'm not. I told you earlier, I'm not the kind of guy that calls up every day. And, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And I just tell him, I go, look, this is a real business. It's not. I don't have 200 car dealerships. I don't have. I don't make the chassis. I don't build engines. I don't do that. This is my only business. This is it. Racing is it. It's got to work for me. Okay. So you have your personality. Be your personality. Be that way. Just give me your time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whenever, and do the stuff you got to do in between. And we'll be fine. We'll get along fine. I want to win. I just want to be at the front. I want to put myself in a position to win. Obviously, you can't win every race, but you just want to put yourself in a position to win.
How do you do that? How do you run a race team as your sole source of income? Because I don't know that it's – I mean, I guess Joe Gibbs does that to an extent for sure, but that racing is a very challenging business model.
Yeah.
It's literally almost impossible to make it a profitable business.
Almost.
Yeah,
impossible.
almost.
Right.
And to your point, Rick and those guys, they have these other businesses and other lives, going on that can help them in times when things aren't going well.
Right.
But you've done this so long, and it's been your only source of income. Mm-hmm. What is the secret?
You know what it's like. You got to make tough decisions every once in a while.
Yeah.
You got to make tough decisions, and you got to tell people. You got to look them in the eye and tell them. Like I got chastised a couple times for laying people off, and I mean it's either when that thing happened with solar company.
DC Solar.
DC Solar. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC Solar. I had to lay off an entire nationwide or Xfinity team. I had to lay the whole team off like that. That was a tough decision, but that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? And we had a good team. I had good guys. That car ran at the front all the time.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. And I had to. It blew up one day. And I'm still paying for that.
Yeah.
So you're still paying for that emotionally?
Well, and financially.
Sure.
Sure. That just got that DC Store thing just got put to bed 60 days ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like got hung up in courts and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. That guy stuck me for he stuck me for $10 million.
That's a good point. I mean, you've survived situations like that. It cost you a bunch of money. You've went through,
Hey, I lost a bunch of money with Franchitti trying to bring him to NASCAR.
Yeah.
That cost me a boatload.
Wow.
Really?
That's right. Dario coming.
Yeah, remember
to NASCAR,
he got hurt?
Yeah.
Remember he broke his hand or foot or something at Talladega there? Yeah. Yeah.
How did you put yourself in a bad situation there?
He was kind of burnt out driving for Michael, I think, and he wanted to do something else. So I said, hey, why don't you give NASCAR a try, And I thought I had the sponsorship or I could come up with it, and I didn't do it.
But
So
you
I rolled the dice and that came up craps. I crapped out.
So you made the commitment to running before you had the dollars, and when the dollars didn't show up, you had to run him.
Right.
And so he goes and ends up, kind of flaming out.
Right. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, and you survived national.
And then to make it up for him, and then I brought him back as an IndyCar driver, and we won the championship a couple times, so it worked out well.
It worked out fine.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. Good guy. You should have him on the show.
I should.
We should. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Hey, if you like that video, like and comment below, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss another piece of Dirty Mo Media content.